I think we are live. Yeah, it looks like it. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to cilinixfxcapital. Welcome to a new live stream. We'll cover some live news. We have some news coming out. The only, somewhat relevant news we have this week. But still, I mean, I personally care about it quite a lot, and I'll tell you why. And this is actually, Q3 data, which I care about a lot as well. So most of the data we of course had in the past couple of weeks was very often old data, and we're still getting old data. But this data, I think the GDP growth and the GDP price index, which is the main data that we are getting, I think that's actually actual, right? So therefore quite important, and I'll tell you why. But in general, I also thought it would be nice to do a little bit of a live stream here. Talk about the markets, talk about some opportunities. I wanted to talk about some Bitcoin opportunities as well. Live stream is working, right, or not? I think it's working. What's up, everybody? Ondras, welcome. Tess, welcome to the stream. AV Creations. Andrew, welcome. Weedham people, welcome to the stream. Yeah, silver is absolutely crazy. I made a video on silver in the I think it was the summer in July or something about silver, which was quite bullish. But I never bought silver. I mean, I bought gold, so I'm still happy with that. But ultimately, did not buy silver. I had to buy silver. I mean, this rally, it's not only silver, right? I think it's actually palladium and platinum, etc. as well. But it's just all the metals are doing amazing. Oh, let me quickly refresh that. Good to hear that we're live. I still have to let everyone know that we're actually live. Mekkel, welcome to the stream. Goedemiddag. Yeah, Jasmine, we'll take a look at that. I saw that Jasmine outperformed the market a little bit yesterday. So I wanted to look at it already, but Jasmine, it's in a tough spot. It's at a tough spot, and you know that as well. So I need to see a lot of momentum to actually find it interesting, but we will take a look at it after the news has come out. The news takes another 7 minutes. I'll explain briefly why I care about that. David, welcome to the stream. Yento, welcome. Yazid, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I hope Bitcoin catches up, but unfortunately for us, Bitcoin, the new gold, is correlated to equities, right? It's become much more correlated to equities, of course, with the ETF launch. Since then, it's been quite crazy at times. But I mean, hopefully at some point of time. I mean, at some point of time, gold is going to get a local top, right? And we might actually get some rotation back into other assets such as equities, Bitcoin. Who knows? But at the moment, it still seems quite strong. But December is usually also a good month for gold. You should not forget that. So I would actually say January has quite a high likelihood to be bearish for gold. Silver, I don't know. Silver maybe has some catching up to do still. Yeah, AV Creations, crypto this year. Look, there were amazing opportunities. When you're talking about April, when you're talking about May, even like those AI agents back in January last year, and August was also not bad. Like in the summer, I actually had amazing trades and made a lot of money. But then obviously October came, November came. I think October for me was break even, and then November was unprofitable for me. I actually made quite a lot of losses at the start of November, and now finally December I've made some profits again, so that's good. But I wonder how next year is going to be. I'm not certain if it's not going to be as much of a clusterfuck as this year. It could be. It could very well be. But ultimately, if you're focused and you're putting in the time, you can make money still out of that, I'd say. Mohammed, welcome to the stream. Berkani, welcome to the stream. Okay, let me. I'll quickly tell everybody that we're actually live. Otherwise, what are we doing here? What are we doing over here if nobody knows that we're live? Yeah, okay. Yeah, so the news is coming out in about 4 or 5 minutes. I'll tell you why I care about it in general and what data I'd want to see. Let me quickly tell everybody that we are live. There we go. There we go, and last but not least, there we go. Okay, so hopefully everybody knows that we are live right now, at least. Let me see. Yeah, should be good. Yeah, XCN is going to be huge, I hope. It would be nice. I mean, XCN, look, I don't know. It's a bit of a difficult coin to predict, and it's been quite bearish, of course, for a very long time already. Massive downtrend right here, and we do have the occasional short squeeze, like that will happen, and it will continue to happen. We do have a major support level coming up right here at 0.3 cents though. That's a very interesting level. So maybe from there we have a better chance. Previous year VWAP as well. So there's definitely interesting levels coming up. But this remains bearish, right? And if something's bearish, you need a lot to turn it around. And I'm not sure if we can expect a lot, right? But we'll see. Okay, so general thoughts about the news that we're getting in. Now, this news is not going to be major unless we get something that's very that's very unexpected, right? It's very different than what we're seeing right here. I mean, Q on Q, quarter on quarter, we're expecting 3.3% growth. If that's much lower, like that's a problem, and then we can see some bearish pressure. If it's higher or if it's similar, then I'd expect that there's maybe a chance at bullish momentum. But I don't look. The markets at this point of time look a little bit more bearish than bullish, I'd say. But the key reason why I care about this is that the outlook we got from the Federal Reserve during the last meeting, so middle of December, had three things, right? So they said that unemployment rate, I think up and then down. That's what they expected. They expected GDP growth to be good. And they expected inflation rate, good. And they expected inflation rate to be neutral and declining, right? And under these circumstances, like this is what they expected for 2026, the Federal Reserve, when it comes to the US economy, which obviously matters a lot. And this is good, okay? Because this means economy growing and no recession, okay? Economy growing, no recession. And slowly but surely, hopefully, this also will become the end of the affordability crisis, how it's very often referred to right now, with declining inflation rates and increasing GDP growth. Ultimately, should mean, if you don't have greedy employers, that the inflation rate that there is, which obviously still means that prices are going up, is better, but is more manageable. But the key thing that we care about right now is this. That's the data we're getting. We're getting GDP growth rate and GDP price index. We need to see good data right here, right? Because if there's one thing that would be bearish for crypto, and we've seen that a couple of times when we actually had fears of that, it's recession fears, right? And when do you get recession fears? If the economy is not doing well. So therefore, I do care about this, and that's why I did want to make a video on this. So yeah, silver is flying. Naji, I know, man. Silver is doing absolutely is doing crazy things right now. What's silver doing? Can we actually can we see that right here? Of course, there. News is coming out in 47 seconds. But yeah, silver has been doing amazing. It's been incredibly bullish right here. I made a video on that, by the way, on my second channel. So if you are interested in silver, make sure to check that out. I made a video on that last week. Hopefully it was correct. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't. Yeah, I think so. I mean, in the thumbnail at least I said it would go up, and then it broke out again. So so if you're interested in that, check that out. But news is coming out in 20 seconds, so we'll keep an eye on that. So generally, what we don't want to see is much lower data than expected for the GDP growth rate and the GDP price index. And we want to see it being higher or as expected. I don't expect it to be higher than expected, but it's a possibility. We're getting it right now, okay, ladies and gentlemen. We will see what we have in terms of the data. Durable goods order month on month is down. Oh, okay, that's actually much higher than expected. It's pretty good news. If we can trust the data, that's obviously the discussion that we're going to get right now. But the GDP growth rate Q on Q, right? So from Q2 to Q3, it seems, was 4.3%. 4.3% GDP growth in the United States in Q3. GDP price index is also up. So generally, I'm not sure if this is actually making the markets move a lot at the moment, but generally this is not necessarily bad news. S&P 500 is down a little bit, but not much. Volatility index is going up a little bit, but also not much. GDP price index is not amazing, but GDP growth rate is not bad. What do we have in the data? What do we have in the order flow? Parmeshwar, Fetch AI, I would stay away from that. Let's see. Do we see anything in the order flow? No. Honestly, there's not much going on right now. I mean, this data does still matter in the long run. So it's good that we know it. But at the moment, it doesn't really seem to do anything to the price. Maybe a little bit. I mean, there is a bit of absorption going on, it seems like right now. As you can see, there's a bit of bullish momentum brewing, to be honest. You can see this candle right here, right? So this is the candle we got earlier. And the delta is $28 million. So that means that $28 million was sold more when it comes to futures orders. But the price went up, right? So there's some absorption going on. And I see the same right now with this candle that we're creating, which we started creating after the news, right? Again, you have a negative delta, but the price is moving up. So if this continues into the New York session, I might have to be a little bit more bullish than I was this morning. Although I think, when we're talking about Bitcoin generally, when we're talking about the price action yesterday, when we fell down below 89,100 and when we fell down below 89,500, Fufu, it's a possibility. I'm not certain if this one is as well. But nonetheless, it should not matter too much. Russell 2000, Nasdaq. So I mean, generally, when we're talking about Bitcoin yesterday was quite bearish. Is this news enough to create a lot of bullish momentum? In my opinion, no. Right. So the news is not major in that sense, but it is. It's good news nonetheless, right? It's good news going into 2026, but are we really going to get that much of a reaction from that in the markets, before we are in 2026 in these market conditions? Let's be honest, right now, there's not a lot of trading going on in the markets, so obviously news will also not be traded as much. But for 2026, it does increase the probability of a bullish move. But when we're talking about today, look, the biggest move we'll have in an hour, right? NYO is in an hour. Then we will really see a bigger reaction because of this. I would say it's slightly bullish, so we can expect some more bullish momentum. But if you're looking at Bitcoin right now, we're not in an amazing spot, right? We're at the 7-day rolling VWAP. We have been able to break above that, and the yearly value area low and the monthly value area low. But the critical resistance level that we try to break above is right here at 89,400. So if we break above that, sure, be my guest, long Bitcoin. That looks like a decent opportunity if it's a real breakout, right? Or look at 86,000. 86,000, we still have that imbalance. So get a spike into that, especially with this news, which means better fundamentals, and that looks like a good buy opportunity as well. So at the moment, the reaction to the news is not enough to do any trading. Maybe if the NYO happens, right? So maybe if the US session starts, maybe then it will be enough to do some trading on that. I would definitely be interested in that, and I would definitely be focused on that. I think the time around the NYO, around the US session starting is quite good for trading. I traded it yesterday myself as well, which would have been an amazing trade if I did not close it prematurely. Outside of that, I would do nothing with this news other than to have perhaps a little bit more of a bullish outlook on the markets for 2026, because for those of you who are tuning in a little bit later, we got the GDP growth rate Q on Q, so that's quarter on quarter data, and we got the GDP price index. Both were higher than expected. GDP price index, who cares? But GDP growth rate, that's good. That's good growth. That's good growth for 2025. And generally, that's a good outlook as long as there's no major inflation coming with that. That's a good outlook for 2026. So that's the data that we covered. So far, we're actually seeing quite a lot of shorting, and we're seeing longs exiting their positions. But there has been some absorption earlier, so that's not necessarily the end of the world, and it's going to be a very interesting New York session, it seems like, so far. Let's do a couple of requests here before we end the stream. Then I'll start working. On some other things. Very interesting things, by the way. But that's I'll have to keep that to myself for now. So yeah, a couple of cryptos here. Zcash, yeah, I was looking at it. I think Zcash is bearish. We've been losing momentum basically after hitting the bottom right here in December. We filled the liquidity gap we had to the upside. As you can see, we had a liquidity gap, filled that, started to cap the upside, started to see some spot absorption right here. And since then we've been pushing down with quite a lot of volume as well. So yes, I'm bearish on Zcash here. And honestly, I see no area at this point of time where I say, okay, that's good enough to potentially buy. Wow, look at this. Look at this bearish pressure. That's quite interesting. Might be an opportunity. I don't know. I actually got some data coming in as well. Maybe that has to do with it. There's a lot of alerts going off. On Ethereum coins. Ethereum coins seem to be crashing right now. Pendle, very bearish. What more do we have? What more did I get? Pendle was very bearish. I think that's it. Athena also quite weak. This could be an opportunity if we actually sell off right here. I mean, if Bitcoin pushes down into 86,000, that might actually lead to some nice opportunities. I actually would not care if we spike down or if we continued to drop down a little bit lower here. Would be nice. We'll see. I'll have to monitor it. At this point of time, I see no major opportunities, and it's also a bit strange price action, to be honest. Uni AMN, I think bearish. I think we've already had some sort of front running going into the news. I would though look. There's this area right here at 5.5. I think that's very strong. Maybe that's a buy opportunity. But this very much does look like topping price action, right? So purely from a technical perspective, I would say it's topped. And I don't think these are the market circumstances right now to have good news pump the price again. You need good market circumstances for that. And honestly, we're not in those right now. BitTensor real quick. Yeah, this is what I said, I don't know, last week on BitTensor, but I think I still expect this. We have support right here at 215, but I think the most we can expect is some consolidation right here on top of 220. Maybe this was even a little bit too optimistic, and I would expect bearish pressure afterwards. I mean, BitTensor, it's a great project. But on the higher time frames, we've just entered a bearish market structure. And just like I said a little bit earlier, if we have a bearish market structure, you need a lot of momentum, or you need very strong bullish fundamentals to get out of that. And BitTensor doesn't have that. We've had the halving. The halving is also a little bit of a sell the news event, and there is significant support at 220, but we haven't seen a significant reaction there. So I'd have to be bearish. I'd have to say I did a long-term update on BitTensor last week. I think that's still valid. That is, so far it has been correct even. So yeah. Okay, a couple of more. Soph, Yazid, I don't know. I deleted it from my watch list. If it reclaims the level it has about 10% higher, there's quite a clear level you can keep your eyes on. If it reclaims that, it's interesting. Anything below that, I wouldn't even spend my time on that. Berkani, you said you liked AFAX. AFAX, I don't know, man. There's a lot of competition in the layer 1 space. We're getting into some very low areas. So I do expect support soon. We're also getting some bullish divergences here. So I do expect support. We have strong support right here between 10 and 11. I think we can find support there. I think we can consolidate on top of that. But an uptrend, again, we need bullish market circumstances. And bullish market circumstances we don't have yet. And even if Bitcoin does start to rally a little bit, I'd say there's massive resistance for AVAX right here at $15 and $16. So unless the entire market turns around, I'd say that's the max we can get from that support level right there between $11 and $10. So I do think a local bottom is near. But if you look at Avalanche, and we're talking about fundamentals right here, it's not doing great. Right, I mean, DEX trading volumes have been quite high, but they're much lower right now. TVL has been high as well, but right now they're dropping down to the same levels they were at November 2024. So yeah, it's not bad, but it's not something I'd buy into, I'd say. Solana, Tenzo Alien. I made a video on that this morning, brother. You have to check that out. That's much more thorough. That's a much better video than I could give you in a brief analysis here in the live stream. Mohammed, should we be scared of the bearish pressure? No, bearish pressure and volatility means opportunities, and that's the bottom line. That's the way it is. So just be prepared for more bearish momentum. And let me cover one last crypto right here, because I promised this at the start of the video. Jasmine. Let's see. No, I mean, honestly, I'd have to say Jasmine is still bearish. On the higher time frames, maybe we have a strong support level. Yeah, we kind of do. We actually did find strong support at the value area low right here. So that's perhaps good news at 0.058. But there is some momentum coming in, but the momentum we had coming in is more of a liquidation spike, as you can see. And we rejected at the monthly VWAP. So I would say this is still bearish, and I also don't see, given the market conditions and given the momentum that I see right now, just briefly inspecting it, I would say it's most likely that we have found strong support, but that we will remain relatively stable here instead of getting an uptrend. And if we can get an uptrend, I'll set a price alert right here at the monthly VWAP at 0.66 cents. I'll update you on that, right? I'll make a video. But that's it for now. Everybody that tuned in later, we got some good GDP data. However, GDP data is unlikely to affect the market in the short term, especially during the current holiday market conditions. It's good news though going into 2026, and I would expect we also have some absorption right here. The probability of actually getting a bullish US session and a bullish NYO has increased. So keep that in mind. My personal areas I'm looking for are still 86,000 for a potential buy, or 89,400 for a potential breakout. Anything in between, I'm not trading. Anything in between, I don't care about, and neither should you. But that's it for now. Thank you for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully it was a good live stream for all of you. Hopefully there was some value in there. And a little bit later today, I think in about 3 hours or so, who knows, I'll be posting my market update video, right? So then that's also, we have a couple of hours of US session in the bag, and I can give you a little bit more of a better prediction for the rest of the week. So keep an eye out for that. For now, that's it. Thank you for watching. Take care.